What up, what up, what up? And welcome to the It's Not Even Like That podcast. I'm your host, Pavar Snipe, with my wonderful friend, the one and only Mike Favor. Mike Favor, an amazing comedian. Seen him all over New York City, Broadway Comedy Club, Gotham Comedy Club, The Stand, The Comic Strip. Just won the Laughing Buddha Comedy Festival. Mm-hmm. And now you're here to talk about being a disabled man in the wonderful world that we live in and the BS that goes down with it. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
First off, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You had quite a journey coming over here.
I did. I got trapped in the Bronx.
Trapped in the Bronx. That's a new
which is not a place where anybody should be trapped.
Trapped in the Bronx is part 2 to They Clone Tyrone.
I still haven't seen that yet, but I've heard a lot about it.
It's gonna make you think. It's gonna make you think twice before you eat chicken.
Now I definitely got to check it out.
See, there you go. I got you teased. You had a great show last night. Tell me about the show.
I had a audition at the comic strip, and it just so happened that Tony Rock and Adam Sandler popped in.
Nice.
While I was there, so my audition happened to be when Adam Sandler and Tony Rock were in attendance.
Oh, so you had Adam Sandler and Tony Rock open for you?
Yeah, pretty much. But the funny thing about it was I didn't realize that like Adam Sandler was right behind me when I came in. So like I'm coming in and they're trying to check me in for the show and everything, and somebody says, "Hey, Adam." And I'm thinking it's just like some regular old Adam, like, you know, a regular comedian. And turns out it was Adam Sandler, because when I go in to the main room, they go, "Oh, we got another comedian up next, but before that, we have a special guest, Adam Sandler," and I was next.
Nice. Happy Gilmore right before you go on.
Yeah, so I was like, if there's a video of it, you can hear me yell out, like, "Get the fuck out of here," when Adam Sandler pops up on the stage.
So what did he do? Did he sing? What was
Nah, he just did like he worked on like new material. He had it all typed out and like on paper, and like he was shuffling through papers. It was
like a lot of this.
Yeah, it was like very odd to see, but it was cool at the same time. But I was nervous because like I'm next and like I'm auditioning, and now I gotta like go after
$100 million singer.
Yeah. I'm like, how more unique can an audition get?
It's crazy. What if your first thing would have been that you were doing an Adam Sandler impression? You just got up there and like, dippity-doo.
Right, and then Adam Sandler got up there right before me, and now it's just over.
Oh, shot. So, do you write down your material?
Early on, I wrote things like word for word. Now I just kind of come up with stuff in my head. I write the premise or the title of the joke down just so I can have a memory of like what I'm supposed to joke about. Mm-hmm. So, but I haven't like fully written out a joke in maybe like 2 years.
Okay, it's been a minute.
Yeah, but like stuff just pops in my head, and I'm like, I gotta put that down.
Like that's that shit. That's
shit like let me. And slowly but surely, like I piece it together, and like as time goes on, I might add other pieces to jokes.
And then it becomes comedy gold.
Yeah, because I realized like, after a while, I just started to realize like, if you're a comedian, you're naturally a funny person to begin with. Mm-hmm. So you just have to treat it as though this is your everyday life and you're just having a conversation with people. Because if you try to structure it word for word, for me, in my case anyway, I realized if I try to structure it word for word, you're going to try to remember how it sounds word for word. When you just piece it together in your mind, it's like you can play with it a little more. Mm-hmm. But if you have like a script, you're so focused on what's supposed to be said that when it doesn't get said, you're going to be like,
I messed up that joke.
Yeah.
I forgot the punchline. Y'all get it. Yeah, that's definitely the thing that trip you up. Okay, so you're a comedian. You're a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. We've performed together now, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Done some sketches together. When you were a kid, growing up, watching television, what were some of the characters in the shows that you loved to see? With or without disabilities? Let's start with without disabilities.
Martin was my favorite. Like, that was my show as a kid. So it was like Martin was one of those shows like you had to be ready for bed and like showered and like pajamas on, or you weren't gonna be able to watch it. Yeah. So Martin, I would say Martin, Fresh Prince, of course, because I think you can't say Martin without Fresh Prince.
For sure.
Or vice versa. What other shows?
That was the height of black sitcoms.
Yeah.
The 90s, where you had UPN and the CW. You had all the different venues in which
so
watch your favorite black folks on TV make things fun.
I grew up like a big Martin fan, big Fresh Prince fan. I don't know. I thought I was like too grown for everything.
Did you watch cartoons?
Doug was my favorite cartoon. Doug is still my favorite cartoon to this day.
Okay.
Because it was like real. It was like a kid just going through everyday life. It wasn't like nothing major about it. Like,
I never watched Doug. He looked weird.
I love Doug. Speaking of like people in wheelchairs, Patty Mayonnaise on Doug, her father was in a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
And he was a cop on the show.
And he got shot on the job.
They never explained. I don't think they've ever explained what happened to him, but he just was in a wheelchair. That was cool growing up.
So, question for you. You use a wheelchair.
Right.
You've used a wheelchair for your entire life?
Just about, yeah. Like, I've always had a wheelchair, but like when I was younger, I used crutches and a walker more.
When did you know that you were disabled?
The weird thing for me was I have a sister who's also disabled. Mm-hmm. So it was just like she was always there. So I never had a moment where it was like, oh, I'm different from other kids. It was just like, I'll tell you one thing that made me realize I was different, I guess. It's just like I have scars on my ankle from surgery. Mm-hmm. And I thought all kids had that scar on their surgery. And then I realized, like, oh, it's because my sister's there. So she had the same scars.
She older sister?
Yeah, my sister's 2 years older. Mm-hmm. And she had the same scars on her ankles from the same surgeries. So that led me to believe, oh, all kids must have the scar. And then I noticed, like, none of my friends had scars on their ankles.
Where are your scars at?
Yeah, so it was like, oh, yeah,
You're weird.
That's a little different. But I don't know, like, growing up, my friends in my neighborhood, like, they didn't treat me differently. Like, they didn't make me feel like I was different. It wasn't until I got to school and then you realize, like, oh, yeah, I'm not like everybody else.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Queens.
Okay. And when you started school, when you were going to elementary school, did you, what was your transportation situation like?
I took the school bus.
Did you take a regular bus or did you take
I never.
the short bus?
I took the, oh yeah, well, it depended on the year. Like some years I had a short bus, some years I had the regular school bus.
I'm only asking because I took a short bus.
Nah, I took the big, because I went to, my elementary school had a lot of disabled kids.
Okay.
My junior high school, there was only 3 of us. And then my high school, there was like a bunch of us again.
So then you had a little clique.
Yeah. So it was like you had to have the big buses.
Yeah.
For all these kids.
Now, when you were a kid and you're watching TV and you're seeing Patty Mayonnaise? Yeah. Her dad with a wheelchair. Yeah. What other people did you see on television that were disabled?
Damon Wayans had a character on In Living Color named Handi-Man.
Handi-Man.
And that was horrible for me. Because my older sister, she's like 16 years older than me. Uh-huh. She started calling me Handi-Man. And I was just like, it has to stop.
Nah, this is not funny.
Like, I don't like this at all. Uh-huh. And, Handi-Man, like I said, Patty Mayonnaise, her father. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think who else was disabled on TV, like on a regular TV show. It wasn't a lot.
No, it wasn't.
And then,
especially not a black man.
Yeah, and then like when you did see people in wheelchairs on TV, they always had like the hospital chair. They never had like the type of chair I had, like a custom made chair. It was always like a chair that I guess they got from a hospital and they just gave it to a guy. And then you knew like there was a movie when I was a kid named Mac and Me, and it was like a a bootleg version of E.T. But the kid in the movie was in a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
And that was my first introduction to a character in a wheelchair in a movie. But there's a gift now. If you type in the wheelchair, is the scene of him rolling down a hill into like water.
What?
I swear to God, it's a scene in the movie where he falls off like a cliff in his wheelchair, and it was so. The movie was so bad, and the kid, like his best friend was like an alien, and the kid was in a wheelchair, and that was like the first time I saw somebody in a wheelchair.
And then he had a traumatic event because he rolled down a hill.
Yeah, I forgot what happened to him after that.
The first person I remember seeing with a disability on television was on Facts of Life, and it was Blair's cousin, who was a comedian.
Oh yeah,
and she had cerebral palsy.
Right.
That's the first person who I remember seeing with a disability, and then a lot of her jokes were clearly about being disabled.
Right, yeah.
So that's the first thing I remember. Okay. How did your family make you feel about your disability? Now, you said you already had an older sister who was disabled, so it was a part of part of your family's world anyway.
Right.
But when you were a kid and going out into the world, did your family prepare you for what you might encounter when you went out? Nah.
My mom, she never set us down and was like, oh, people are gonna treat you differently, or people. It was just like stuff would happen, and I would come home and be like, people did this or they did this, and she'd be like, yeah, that's kind of how people gonna
Yeah.
like
Wait. You told me a story. We got to get to this story. This summer camp. You went to a summer camp.
Oh yeah.
And someone used a word that we don't use anymore.
Oh yeah.
In reference to your disability.
I went to a summer camp for children who were mostly mentally challenged, and I have a physical challenge.
Yeah.
But back then they grouped us all together. So if you had a physical disability, it didn't matter. You were gonna go to this camp, and my mom didn't know the difference. Like, she knew the difference between mental disability and physical, but she didn't know like there were camps for kids with physical disability. So we went to this camp, and I remember asking like the director. I think she was the director of the camp or something like that. And the letters of the program that the camp was funded by was AHRC.
Oh yeah, ARC.
Yeah.
ARC does very good work. Let's make it clear.
Right.
ARC does very good work.
And I know
the R in ARC.
Yeah, and I know they took it out. Like, officially, the R doesn't stand for that anymore.
Yeah.
But back then, in 1992, I asked her what does the letter stand for, and she got to R, and she said the word, and I was like, but I'm not that, and she was like, yes, you are, and I was like, but I'm not. And she was like, you have cerebral palsy.
So you are.
That's a form of, I was like, if I was older, I would have been like, it damn sure not. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to call my mom. And we're going to, like, I called my mom. I was like, just she's telling me I'm like, the R word. And my mom was just like, nah, like, don't. Like, she had to tell the lady, like, he's not, like, nothing's wrong with him mentally.
Well, first off, you're arguing with the woman. So that's clue number one, that you do not have a mental disability.
And I was like an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I will say, it was funny. It's funny now in retrospect. The first day I was there, I knew the camp was something different because I was in the bathroom and another kid was in the bathroom, and he picks up like a bar of soap and he chewed it. Oh. And I just remember, like, I broke down into tears because I was like, what? Like, even at 8, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like why am I here?
I don't belong here.
And I just remember, like, this is the first time like I ever been separated from my mom.
Yeah.
So imagine like your first time ever being separated from your parent. The first night you watch somebody eat a bar of soap.
Oh my God.
So I was just like, oh, like I gotta get out of here. Like,
well, what kind of soap was it?
I don't even remember. It was a bar, like it was a big bar of soap, and he just like said like that, and I was just like,
that's crazy.
What the fuck?
Because I'm gonna be honest, I could imagine licking an Irish Spring. It's bright green. The color is quite enticing. I might have actually licked a bar of Irish Spring just because, But if he just went down and just chomped it all down,
and I was just like, I gotta go. I gotta get. I literally, like, as soon as he finished, I like broke down into tears.
As soon as he finished, just wiping his face with a napkin, like.
I was just like, I gotta go. I gotta go home. And I was only there for a week. But if at 8 years old, that felt like
a week is a million years when you're 8 years old.
I called my mom every day. I was like, I just want to come home. So then after that camp, me and my sister got put into another summer camp called Camp Oakhurst. It's not called that anymore, but back then it was called Camp Oakhurst in New Jersey. So they tried to like sell me on it, and I just thought about this other camp.
you were
and I was like,
I'm not. Nah.
Yeah, I'm like, but the crazy thing was I still was going to the other camp. So, but by like my second year, like I had like kind of made up my own rules. I'm like, I'm not doing whatever they doing. I'm just gonna play basketball all day. I don't want to like, cause all they used to do was like, you know that thing. It would be like you put a pencil on the paper and then it would spin and you have like this art where it was just like circles, like a fidget spinner, but like a 1980s version. Yeah, but they would do that all day, and I was just like, I can't do this all day. I'm going to play basketball. Oh my god! I was like, if you guys only play, because they would be like, you got to do this. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to play basketball. Yeah. So then they tried to sell me on this other camp, and I was just like, no, like I'm not going. I'm done with summer camps. Like you already got me in this other camp where people eat soap and shit. I'm not going. So then I ended up going to the camp in New Jersey, and it was kids that were more like me and my sister. Yeah. So I fit in more with them, and I was like, I love this place. And that camp was that we would have to have like a whole other podcast episode just about that camp and all the shenanigans. Wait, no, go ahead. Just tell me one. Keep going. I'm trying to think of like an appropriate story. I'll say this. The first network TV. You good? Go ahead. The first place I ever drank was there. Oh, okay. This is juicy. Yeah, let's get into this. Right. So the first place I ever had a drink was there. I stayed well beyond the time I should have stayed for girl reasons. Like I had a girlfriend. Okay. And my mom figured out that I wasn't a virgin because of the camp. Because she was like, why are you still going to camp at 19? You must be like, you're not a counselor. Fucking. Yeah. And but I feel like that's pretty common for camp. Yeah, and I was like, well, like that sounds. But when you put like a bunch of disabled kids in there, and then you're thinking of like with young teenagers, and with our counselors are like 21, 22. When I was growing up, I saw counselors having sex like outside, and they would think we were sleeping, and I would be like in the window, like you see like my little hand like in the window, like trying to look out. And I never told my mom any of this stuff, but like later on, I told her like it used to. You were getting a full sex education at this camp. It would be going down at that. Yeah. Well, you know what though, and I think probably a lot of that is the counselors. I feel like, or what I've experienced as a child with a disability is that adults tend to think that they can get one over on the disabled kids. Right. Or disabled kids are not going to be paying attention as much. There's just this weird separation that people tend to make, an assumption about children who are disabled. That was the thing about that camp, was like the adults treated us like equals. That's why I enjoyed it so much, because it was like I got freedom here. And so it was like, that's good. And because of my sister, her being a couple years older than me, I got cool with all the older kids and everybody else. So I would just be staying up late with them and hanging out with them, and like all the other kids my age are like sleeping, and I'm out like on the porch hanging out. You're out playing doctor. So did you
did you lose your virginity at that camp?
Nah, not there. But
Okay.
like I later on in life, I did a lot
All right.
while I was there.
Yeah.
But it was a wild few years. I think like me and a few other people, like our actions are why they changed the format of the camp now. Cause now
Wow.
that camp is primarily for people with mental disabilities. Cause I think they realize like these other
Physically disabled kids was out there wild.
yeah, like these other kids, so after you were done with the children's session, they would move you up to the adult session if you wanted to go. Like they didn't make you go, but if you wanted to go, you can go to the adult version of that camp. And so we started going to Atlantic City, but they would take us to Atlantic City in the middle of the day. So like we would get drunk in Atlantic City and then come back to the camp, and it would just be ridiculous.
And it's summer camp.
Yeah.
So then it's hot and y'all drunk and y'all just finished
But
camping.
year round, they had this thing called respite. So you can go, like, so when I was a kid, when we had off for, like, President's Week or, like, any week we had off, like, I would go up there. And then when you became an adult, it would just be, like, a random Monday. They would be like, you can come this Monday and leave the next Monday.
Oh, damn.
And they would have, like, cafe nights and stuff like that. So during the cafe night, we would get drunk. And when we would go to Atlantic City, we would get drunk. And I remember my first time being there, it was a guy named Jeff. And Jeff pronounced words wrong. So he kept asking the waiter at Atlantic City, he kept going, let me get a Heineken. Let me get a Heineken. And I was like,
A Hennessy / Heineken?
Nah, he was just asking for a Heineken, but he couldn't say it. He couldn't say it correctly. And he kept asking for Heinekens, and I was like, what the fuck is a Heineken? And he was like, and somebody else was like, he wants Heinekens. And I was like, why don't y'all help him? So he took like 3 sips of Heineken, and I kid you not, we got back to the camp, and I found him like laid out in the middle of the floor, and I thought it was I was like, you only had 3 sips. He was like, man, that shit was a lot. And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever been at.
Yeah, I think you need to write a comedy about that camp.
I've always said, like, because I don't know if you saw, but like a couple years ago, there was a movie, like a documentary on Netflix called Crip Camp.
No, I didn't see
And
it.
it was about a camp like similar to the camp I went to, but our camp was like way wilder than what they showed in this Crip Camp movie. Even though I think somebody caught like a venereal disease there, it was like that was a little crazy. But I always say, like, if people knew what really happened at that camp, like they would be surprised.
Wow.
Because it was a wild couple. And it's funny because I know it was only during the time period that I was there that it was like that. Because I've talked to people that were there like in the 80s and 70s.
And they're like, what?
And they're like, yeah, it wasn't, we didn't do none of that.
They were just probably smoking a little grass.
But even then, they're like, no, we was just doing camp stuff. And,
That's so
and then
funny.
my generation came along, like, we was doing this. We was drinking. And, speaking of the drinking, so let me tell you what happened with that. So it was me, like 3 of my friends, I'm not going to say no name to protect the innocent.
Protect the innocent, of course.
A counselor who wasn't supposed to be there, but he was there, like, visiting. He goes
wait. Why wasn't he supposed to be there?
Because he just wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
He was just, like, visiting us.
Got it.
And because this was during the respite. This wasn't during the summertime. So he comes and he's like, you guys want Mad Dog 2020? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like 16.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, like, let's get some drinks. And so he gives us the bottle of Mad Dog 2020. We drink it. We get drunk. We go to bed. We wake up the next day. Nobody says anything about anything. I'm thinking we're all in the clear. We're about to leave that Monday. And the guy, like the director of the camp, calls us in the office one by one. It's like, yeah, I want to speak to you, Mike, you. And so one by one, he calls us in the office. So I'm asking my friends, like, what'd you say? Like, what? It's like, what was it about? He's like, they want to know about the bottle of Mad Dog 2020.
Who found the bottle?
The cleaning people found it because they threw it in the garbage instead of like just
putting it in their suitcase.
Yeah,
Come on, man. Evidence.
I was already known as like a troublemaker. So they thought everything was mine. I'm like, nope. I'm not trying to tell on nobody else. But where the director messed up was he was like, I'm going to tell your mom if you don't tell me who gave you the alcohol. So me being smart enough, even at like 16, I'm like, you're not going to tell my mom. And he's like, well, what makes you think I won't tell your mom? I'm like, because you're going to have to explain to my mom while her 16-year-old son was outside getting drunk at a place that's supposed to be safe for him at 2 a.m.
Bloop.
And so then he was like, he didn't say anything, but I was like, you're not going to call. But then he called the guy. So one of my friends ends up snitching, and because I was living like really by some criminal law back then. Like, I'm not snitching on nobody. But my friend ends up, because they did like a whole thing, like, I'm going to close your eyes. And when I say the name of the person that gave you the alcohol, I want you to raise your hand. I'm like, I'm not going to raise my fucking hand.
But somebody raised their hand.
But my friend raised his hand and was like, so how much trouble are we going to get in if we tell you? I'm like, bro, he's not going to. And I'm trying to tell him, like, he's not going to tell our parents.
Yeah.
But he's like so scared that he told on the council that gave it to us. And then the council that gave it to us, the guy called him in front of us and fired him, like, on the spot.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh, my God. So eventually I went home and told my mom, I was like, in case they call, I got drunk. And she was like, she wasn't like, all right, whatever. But she was like, I don't know, man. Like, you were in New Jersey. I got nothing to do with me. Like, my mom, like...
I love your mom right now.
I would get in trouble there, and like they would call her, and she like they would be like, he did this and this, and she would just be like, that's why I sent him to you, because he does this stuff here, and like I'm trying to get away from him, and now you're calling me about him here, and I don't know what you expect me to do in Queens, and he's in New Jersey. Like, it's nothing. I don't know. Handle it.
Sounds like a you problem to me.
Yeah, like, handle it. Like, I deal with them all year. Like, you handle it.
Let's take a look at television and movies and portrayal of people with disabilities around that period of time. Let's talk about Drake and Degrassi. Did you watch Degrassi?
Nah, I didn't even know what Degrassi was until Drake came out. And then people would talk about Wheelchair Jimmy. I would be like, who the fuck is Wheelchair Jimmy?
Wheelchair Jimmy. Take a look at Wheelchair Jimmy. Okay, so Jimmy gets shot in a school shooting, and then for the rest of the series, his character was in a wheelchair. But did you know that Drake was fighting the fact that his character had to be in a wheelchair and was threatening to leave the show because he didn't want to be portrayed as a guy in a wheelchair anymore?
I heard that. I did hear that. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard that, I was like a little disappointed, because it was like, you know, you're the biggest like artist in the world, and to know that like you were so ashamed to play somebody in a wheelchair, like, just
a character.
Yeah, like, we gotta live this every day.
Yeah. And
you were like ashamed to play it for a few hours a day.
That's wild.
Or maybe like once a week.
No.
I was disappointed, but it was, you know,
Champagne Poppy. Champagne Poppy.
I saw him in concert the other day. And I actually thought about that. I was like, I shouldn't be watching this motherfucker.
Fuck you, Drake!
Yeah, like, remember, you didn't want to be in a wheelchair. I shouldn't be supporting this shit.
Nah. All right, so we got Drake and Handi-Man. You said Handi-Man was just trash.
Yeah. But something interesting I found out about Damon Wayans was that he actually, like, when he was growing up, he had a club foot or something like that, and kids used to make fun of him, and that's how he came up with the character for Handi-Man.
Yeah.
But back in 1990, I'm just thinking like,
what the
he's
fuck?
Just being an asshole to people in wheelchairs or people with disabilities. And he did like all the stereotypical, matter of fact, it wasn't even stereotypical at that time. Because of those sketches, that became the stereotype of what
was portrayed.
People thought people with disabilities were like.
Yeah.
So, I didn't like it.
Handi-Man it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch then, and now it's even more. It's just like,
right.
It's cringy, and it's like we love and live in color. That sketch could never. Well, I feel like that sketch could never be made today.
I feel like this is what I feel like about society. I feel like everything is always off limits until you talk about people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. Because I've noticed any other group of people gets joked about, people will go, oh no, that's not, you can't. But then when people joke about people with disabilities, it's everybody's just online like, haha, that's so funny. And I've seen people post things about people with disabilities, and it'll be somebody in the comment section with a disability, and they'll be like, this isn't cool. And people will say stuff like, well, just walk it off or something like that. It's like, yo, I'll punch you in your fucking... But I don't know, like people... And I guess, like me, I make jokes about my disability. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, I'm not really helping the cause because...
Well, no, I disagree with that because I feel like this is your experience. Like I joke about my rheumatoid arthritis and being a kid in the locker room and dealing with a bully and having to do my gym class was sweating to the oldies.
When I was a kid, I didn't really get bullied as a kid. Like I think like people would make fun of me and I didn't realize like they were making fun of me. Uh-huh. Or I just like kind of like was like, yeah, whatever, all right. Like fair enough.
I see what you did there. All right.
That was good. That was a good joke. But yeah, I don't know. Like I was always like a funny, cool kid, so people didn't really.
Well, was it because they were afraid that you were going to crack jokes on them?
I think that was a little bit of it, and then a little bit of it was I was very angry as a child. So it was like up until a certain point, I didn't care about how, like if you could walk, if you couldn't, if you said something I didn't like, I was gonna try to hit you. Whether or not I would win the fight didn't matter, but it was like, I'm gonna hit you first.
Somebody was gonna catch them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people just didn't take their time out of their day to really bother me like that. And it just, I don't know. I never really tried to like fit in. I was just doing my own thing by myself. And, like I said, and also having a sister with a disability and she's not that much older than me, people already seen like an example of a person with cerebral palsy before I came along. So my sister, in a way, kind of made things easier for me.
She paved the way for you.
Yeah, like
quite literally.
She made things easier for me in life because she would always have to go through stuff first. Yeah. And I would come along and just, well, it's kind of easy.
It's not that bad.
Thanks.
So, when did you know you were going to become a comedian? What comedians did you look at as a kid and growing up into adulthood?
Again, Martin Lawrence was like the first comedian where I was like, I understood comedy in a way. Like I grew up watching, Def Comedy Jam, and I didn't really grow up like, every comedian comes in, like Richard Pryor, and I didn't grow up really watching Richard Pryor. Like I didn't see Richard Pryor do stand up until I was like 20. But Martin Lawrence was like the first comedian where I was like, oh, I like this guy. Like, he's funny. And then as a kid, I never thought about like doing comedy. I didn't think it was something that was like you just do. I didn't know how it happens. I just thought I thought the finished product you saw on stage, like I thought that was comedy. I didn't know like people went through years of open mics and shows and a bunch of BS, and then you see like the big special.
So you got into stand-up comedy relatively late compared to a lot of comedians. Yeah. So what was the thing that made you finally jump out there and get on stage?
I was always funny, and it was always something that other people was like, you should go be a stand-up. But then as a stand-up, we both know like when people always come to you like, oh, I'm funny too. People say I'm funny too. And I never wanted to be that guy, like going up to comedians like, people say I'm funny too.
Like T.I.
Yeah, so I just I don't know, like one day I thought about it originally like maybe 10 years before I actually started. But I didn't even know like open mics. I didn't know like where you go to like start a comedy career. And then as technology evolved and stuff like that, it was like, oh, now I can look on the internet and just find what I need to find.
Find where to go.
But back when I was like a teenager, like a kid, it was no way for me to really know like, oh, this is how because I wasn't out. Like I was in Queens, and we know everything in comedy happens in Manhattan pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was like I wasn't going to Manhattan for no reason.
Yeah.
I started. You said like I started relative. I started at 35. So it was, what it was, I think too, was sometimes like people I knew would try stand up, and it would never go well for them.
And that made you be like, ah.
But I realized that what they thought was stand-up comedy wasn't, it might not have been what they thought it was. So what I mean is like, I would have friends that would go do open mics and they would think that's like stand-up comedy.
Yeah, that's not
and
it.
Then, so when the open mics wouldn't go well, they would be like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. Like, I sucked at it.
Which is most open mics. Most open mics are trash. You're not.
And
it's not going to tell you how you really are.
But then when I got into it, when I was in the open mic phase, I was like, oh, this is why they quit comedy, because this sucks.
Yeah.
But I was like, I gotta like stick it out and see like how far I can go, instead of just being like, I hate doing open mics and that's it for me with comedy.
Yeah.
But it was something, I don't know, I was always funny, so it was something that was always there. But it was one of those things like, you know how like something might come too easy to you, so you don't think about it. It was like I was always funny, so I never thought like, oh, I should go do this professionally, until like I was like, oh, like I probably should try to do something.
Maybe this is
like.
Well, what were you doing before you got into stand up?
We did. I was let's see, before stand up, I was just out here just like women and gambling and illegal activities.
You was about that life.
Yeah.
It's in these streets. Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
So but by 34, 35, I was like, I gotta figure something out.
Change it.
Yeah, like I'm not doing shit. Like I'm getting older. Like I should probably figure something out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're pretty funny, so you should probably go do that.
Yeah. Well, you found the right lane.
Yeah.
You found the right lane. Now let's talk about being a stand-up comedian in New York City. New York City is, comics come from around the world to start doing stand-up here. Right. But it's a different challenge when you are a comedian who uses a wheelchair in one of the most inaccessible cities in the country. A lot of stand-up shows, a lot of comedy clubs are in the basements, they're down steps, there's no elevator, or there's no wheelchair access. It's a lot happening, because the first show that I ever even went to see you at, when we first met, you had to do your whole show
on the side.
In a profile, like this. This mic.
And
this mic for the show.
And the crowd was like around me.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that sucked. That part of it sucked.
That sucked. But you were still funny though. He still killed. He absolutely still killed.
But that, that since I started, that's always been my goal, is to like be funny enough to where people have to fit things around me, and not just fit things around me, because if you fit things around me, the next comedian in a wheelchair, they get the benefit off of people trying to acquiesce to what I need. So but we also need more comedians with physical disabilities, any type of disability, but in my case, physical disabilities, to come
to get comfortable.
Yeah.
To be ready. It's tough stand-up comedy is tough for anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the vulnerability that I love about you and your performance, Mike, is that you are just so raw in a way that reminds me of Richard Pryor.
Thank you.
Because you just get up there and you just lay it all out there from the jump, and it's just like, it's like comedy assassin. He's machine gunning jokes all the way through about his experience in a way that a lot of people are just uncomfortable doing. And at first, right. I'm sure for a lot of the audience members, they're like, I didn't know what I was gonna get. But then they got to be in for the ride.
I had to learn how to format stuff to make it to where you can laugh. Because I used to just get on stage and be like, oh, my mom was my biological mom, not the woman who raised me, but my mom was a crackhead, a drug addict. And I used to just go, my mom was a crackhead. And people would just go, oh my God.
I feel sad.
And I was like, all right, let me try to... I think the moment it clicked for me was I was about to get into a joke about never knowing my father, and this older woman in the crowd, I just heard her go, oh, and I yelled, I was like, shut the fuck up. It's not. And I just like went on this whole thing. I was like, I'm not saying this shit for you to feel bad for me. I'm trying to be fun. And then I realized like, oh, it's me. Like I'm too like... Yeah. I'm too blunt about it's like I gotta work these things in a way where I'm still telling you things that happen to me, but I have to have like a punchline where you can go like, all right, it's a little crazy, but like it's funny. Whereas before it was just like, yeah, man, my mom was a crackhead, never knew my father. And then I would have like
no punchline. You just move on to the next thing.
It's funny to me. Like, and then you're just like, oh my God, this guy's life is so sad. With the Richard Pryor thing that you talked about, I read a book about Richard Pryor, and it really broke down like his technique and everything he put into his writing and his life, and how he transferred that over into his comedy. And I was like, that's what I gotta be. But I gotta be that for disabled people. Yeah. Because I don't want to say like disabled people don't really share their lives, but I don't think people share their lives in the way that I share. And everybody doesn't have my life. So I've had to be I had to recognize that, because I would have friends that things that were hard to them, I would be like, what, like, oh, your grandma died? Let me tell you about the time my mother left. And and then I had to realize, like, but that thing for them, that's the hardest thing they ever went through.
That's their experience.
Yeah, so it's like I can't put my shit on other people. So with comedy, it's like I had to learn, like, all right, I could give this to you, but I have to put it to you in a way where you feel sad, but it's like it's funny. Yeah. So you don't have a choice.
Yeah. I think for me personally, when I first started doing stand-up, I didn't talk about having a disability at all, because I had lived most of my life from being a radio personality to being a news producer. I lived most of my life in a way that was, I didn't talk about it. Right. I didn't talk about it because for me, this is who I am. This is just, it's like talking about your kneecap. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't anything that I ever thought I needed to talk about until my boyfriend was like, babe, you should maybe try talking about your stand-up and your comedy. Right. And as soon as I did, it was freeing for me, for one. Right. And then it also elevated my comedy, because it was like everybody, even if you don't have a disability, you have a common experience with being uncomfortable. Right. Or you might have a common experience with a bully, or you might have a common experience with a date that was a jerk, or something like that. That all comes into play. Like I have this one joke that I do. I talk about I was the only disabled kid in all my classes until 5th grade, and they put another disabled kid in my class. And his name was Garvin. Rest in peace to him. But Garvin died? Yeah, he passed when we were like 17, I think. Oh, damn. But so they put him in my class in 5th grade, and I was just like, what the why the fuck is he here? But it was like I was so used to being the only one that when somebody else came in,
I tried to like discourage people. I was a jerk, like, you know, at 10 years old. But it was like, so in the joke I say, like, I got so jealous I made up lies about this kid, and I would be like,
God.
I would be like, yo, you know, I'd be seeing that motherfucker walking after school, man. Like, you can't trust him. Like, I'm the only one you need. Like, but I realize people laugh at it because a lot of people go through that feeling. It might not be what it is. You might be the only black person somewhere, and then another black person comes in, and you're like, man, what? This motherfucker is just me. Like,
exactly. Well, that's how, when me and my boyfriend first moved into our building, we didn't see any other black people for a while. We were like, where are the black people?
Right.
At first, we were upset. I was like, there's no black people. Then we were like, well, this neighborhood's nice, and we'd love to see some more black people, but if they don't show up, oh well.
It could just be us.
It could just be us. And then one day we started seeing black people move in. We was like, well, who are y'all?
Like, hold on, we've been
whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What's happening here? Who are these new blacks?
And then when I did the joke for the first time, it really hit, and I was like, all right, that works. And even with like joking about my biological mom, like I have a joke where I say like my mom, she was a drug addict and she was a crackhead, and I say my dad
I know this joke.
Was a man who fucked a crackhead. So it's like
so dark.
So it's like I had to be adopted because like what fucking advice was I gonna get from him? And you out here fucking crackheads raw in the 80s. Like, what were you gonna tell me as a
your decision making process is flawed, sir.
You can't be my father. I gotta go somewhere else. And even like the circumstances of me being adopted, I haven't done the joke yet, but like I thought about it. It was like the reason why me, my brother, and my sister got taken out of my mom's house when I was 6 months old is because she left us in the house and I started crying. And then a neighbor was like, you know, it was a kid in it. So basically, I'm the reason why my family...
You snitched.
Yeah, it's like, so now I met my biological family when I was 23. And it's like, so now it's like, there's always that little, like, this the motherfucker that, like, separated the family. Because he was crying. It was like, I didn't know. Like,
well, I was a baby and I was probably hungry
like I didn't know. And there is jokes that I do sometimes. I don't feel comfortable like around my family doing them because it's like they're gonna take it a certain way. Well, yeah. But like when they're not around, I'm like, yeah, I gotta do that joke. So like I did a joke about my adopted mom recently, and my nephew was at the show, and he yells out, he's like, I love grandma. And I was just like, all right, nigga, like, let me do my joke. Like, don't interrupt me, like, while I'm trying to... And it's like the joke I just told you, like, about my mom and my dad, like, my little brother, he came to my show one time, I was like, I'm not doing that joke in front of him. But then the next show, because it was in Maryland, he lives in Maryland, so the next show... he wasn't there, but it was the same comedians from the show before. And I was like, I meant to do this joke last night, but I couldn't do it in front of my brother. And then when I did it, it's like, oh, yeah, we see why you couldn't say that.
Yeah, that was a little raw.
Yeah, so I was like, I can't do them all in front of my family. And they might watch this. They're going to watch this, so they're going to hear these jokes anyway, but I'm not going to tell the joke about my mom, regardless. Yeah. Because it's just, that joke is...
That's raw. That's raw. So we were already talking about Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor had a disability. He was diagnosed with MS. Yeah. And continued to do stand-up. Yeah. And then he played someone with a disability in the 1980s film Hear No Evil, See No Evil, co-starring Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder. So Richard Pryor was a blind man, Gene Wilder was a deaf man, and then all the hijinks ensued with them trying to, figure out how they were gonna coordinate together. Yeah, and like in this
escape from whatever they were escaping from.
Yeah.
That was one of those movies, like, when I watched it as a kid, I didn't see a problem with it. And I watched it as an adult, I'm like, this is horrible. Like, first of all, it's a bad movie. No disrespect.
See, I think it's funny. I think I don't think it's a bad movie because I like classic jokes, and it has a lot of classic setup punchline. You know what I mean? Like old school type of jokes. I like slapstick comedy. Now the plot,
I think towards the end of his movie career and his life, Richard Pryor made a lot of bad professional decisions, but I can't tell Richard Pryor. That's Richard Pryor. But he, a lot of those movies that came out like in the late 80s, it was like, Jesus.
With the exception of Harlem Nights.
Yeah, Harlem Nights was great. Even though, you know what's weird? You ever notice like a lot of movies you thought were like fantastic movies and like the world loved, you find out when you get older that like when the movies came out, everybody thought they sucked.
Yeah, Harlem Nights tanked.
Yeah, so
but now it's like a cult classic.
But if you ask me, like Harlem Nights was like Gone with the Wind when I was a kid. I thought like everybody loved Harlem Nights. Then I got older, people were like, that movie sucked ass. I'm like, what? Harlem Night? The same thing with The Wiz.
Yeah,
like I thought,
is just uncomfortable.
I thought The Wiz was like a cinematic masterpiece as a child, and then like I got older. It's like, yeah, nobody liked that movie when it came out. I was like, people didn't like The Wiz. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but it did better on Broadway.
But when you watch it again, as it does, like, oh, I see why.
Yeah,
people didn't.
Just that subway scene alone with those weird little.
That's like
these things that just freaks me out every time.
The Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie.
Oh, now that was really bad.
But
so trash.
3-year-old me thought it was like the greatest movie ever made, and to this day, like you cannot convince me that Masters of the Universe is not like a top 5 all time. I watch it today.
It is bad
with the same excitement. No, it's horrible. Yeah. It's a piece of shit
trash,
movie.
Yeah.
That movie, the Garbage Pail Kids movie. I watched that movie. Like those two movies, I went back and watched like in my 20s, and I was just like, this is hard. Like, what was I watching?
So bad
as a child.
So bad.
But I hold them in my heart.
Yeah,
deeply.
We were talking about on the phone a couple of weeks ago. You guys, we were talking, and you told me about being a black person with a disability, right? I feel like in the black community, we have a different experience growing up as a disabled child and into becoming an adult. Specifically, we love church. We love Jesus. I love me some Jesus. But in some churches, there can be the, I would say, mixed conception that if you're disabled, it's because you didn't pray enough.
They exploit you.
You're not praying enough. Someone didn't pray for you. There's a demon on you. There's something going on. There's a root on you. There was a root on your mama. There's a root on your daddy. There's a root on your family tree. And that's why you happen to be disabled. You have a specific story about what you went through as a kid in church.
When I used to go to church as a kid, so my church was ran by my family. And so me and my sister, we would be in church and they would always go, we got Brother Michael and Sister Kathy here. They, they can't walk, but God is just blessing them. And it's like, I'm your cousin. Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I remember, like, a few years ago, I went for my nephew's baby christening back to that church. And they just singled out me and my sister again. And they were like, oh, we got Brother Michael. So I'm like, you see me, I'm your cousin. Like, you see me all the time. We don't have to do it.
Yeah, we don't need an introduction.
Yeah, like, you don't have to do it. And then it just, I never liked going to church because it just felt exploitive. Because especially when you come from a family where you're adopted, they make it feel like, oh, look what we did for you.
Like you're othered.
Yeah, like, God blessed you with this family, and look how now we got you in church. And stand up real quick. And, it's like, I don't want to be here. Like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
And so I just never, like, as a kid, I hated going to church. Sorry to my family members.
What's your relationship with church like now?
I don't go.
You still don't go?
Nah, like, I'll go to like a baby christening or something like that, but like just to go to church on a Sunday, I don't.
Okay.
Because I don't feel like going in there. Oh, we got a young brother in here in a wheelchair. The Lord bless you. Good leg. No, it's over. Like,
it's okay.
Yeah, like,
and God didn't make a mistake when He made this. This is like, what God's plan was.
I'm fine. Like,
yeah.
So I don't like going to things where I feel like I'm being exploited, or when people feel like they're complimenting me, but it's really like you're kind of insulting me at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I just avoid that.
Yeah. What kind of characters and portrayals of black men with disabilities would you like to see?
Normal ones. Like, I don't want to... It's always like when you see disabled people on TV, they're like, they have to be saved by somebody, or they're the unlikely savior in the situation. And we've talked about this before. It's like every time I see somebody with a disability on TV, it's always like a white kid who has the support of his family and they love him and everybody's there for him. And I don't see people like me. Mm-hmm. Not to say my family didn't love me and didn't support me, but I grew up in a certain environment with certain things would happen, and I would be around it just because you're around it because you're in that environment. Like like the area I grew up in, there was gangs, there was drugs, and you don't see any of that when you hear stories about disabled people. It's always just, oh, look how hard my life is as a disabled person. But my mom loves me and my dad loves me, and they'll help me get through it. And everybody with a disability doesn't have those stories.
Yeah.
Not to say my mom didn't love me, but it was different. It was like, I'm the only boy in the house. So I can't teach you how to be a man, and I had to go outside by myself and figure out how to become a man. And one thing I learned from being out in the world, people don't care about your disability.
Tell it.
Like I got in the same trouble other people got into because it was just like, yeah, you disabled, so put this under your seat and we'll figure it out, like if the cops come. I guess for me, like how I said we talked about before, is like I just wanted to see more realistic, and not to say people, like I said, people's parents don't love them and they don't have support, but I grew up in a different environment, different surroundings, different circumstances than what I see on TV. So like I always thought, like if I could just do like a Everybody Hates Chris kind of thing, but like just me as a child and like all the crazy stuff that would happen around me and how somehow it will relate to my disability in some way. But it's not just like, oh, look at me, life is so sad. Yeah.
Except for, the one example that you did have of somebody in a wheelchair with a disability that wasn't in a happy home.
Chris from Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
That was my guy, man. Chris, wherever he's at, I forgot his real name, but shout out to Chris from Boys in the Hood, wherever he may be. Because that was like the first person, he was like a gangster. Like, he got shot. And like he was Ice Cube's best friend, and like they went to jail together as kids. And the next time you see him, he's in a wheelchair. They never explained like
what
how
happened.
This nigga got in the
we
chair.
can just make an assumption.
He just like he was a kid with a jerry curl.
Yeah.
And then like 2 minutes later, he was like 21 in a wheelchair. Nobody knows why. And like the funniest thing to me, it's not a funny scene, but the scene where Ricky is about to get shot in Boys in the Hood, and Ice Cube realizes that the guys that are going to kill Ricky are about to go kill him, and you see Chris like behind Ice Cube. Like first he tries to get in the car, and they're like, "Yo, leave that shit! Like, nigga, we can't take you." And then like he's just trying to roll behind the car. It's like, what are you? Like, what are you supposed to do at that point? Like, you're not gonna do it. You're not catching that car. Like, no. Ricky's gonna die without you being there. And I just always thought that was hysterical that like he tried to keep up with like a Impala, like with
he was.
And who else was there when I was a kid? Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump, because they had two different spectrums of disability. And, Forrest Gump was probably autistic.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it because he was like a genius.
Yeah.
And then Lieutenant Dan got shot and lost his legs. But I'll tell you, the scene in Forrest Gump that haunted me for like at least 2 years was when Forrest was running from the kids and he had braces on. Mm-hmm. And he came out of the braces.
Yeah.
Do you know how many kids thought
that they couldn't
that
run.
I could just run out of my braces and I was gonna be able? I was like, it's not
a thing.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna run out of my braces. Like I'm stuck here. Like this is for life.
That was fiction.
Yeah, like that didn't happen for real. Nobody's gonna just run out of their braces. And then Lieutenant Dan, for those that didn't see Forrest Gump, he was a character that was like a sergeant in the army. Mm-hmm. He got shot.
Yeah, I guess he was a lieutenant.
Yeah. Oh, lieutenant. Yeah. Yeah, that was stupid.
That would make sense.
Lieutenant Dan lost his legs, and nobody ever really called me lieutenant. I call myself lieutenant because I have a joke about like being a kid and having an eye patch and like being in a wheelchair, and I say I look like Slick Rick. And Lieutenant Dan in one person. But, like, I don't know, Lieutenant Dan was cool, though, because he was, like, an asshole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was one of the original assholes with the disability.
So that was, like,
I like to call
that was, like, who I aspired to be, like, as a disabled. It was, like, this guy is pretty cool. Like,
yeah. Yeah, because he was super smart. He was badass.
Yeah.
He was just grumpy. He just wasn't here for the BS.
Forrest was, like, he was getting duped into shit. Like, he was just falling for everything. He could run, I couldn't run, so I couldn't even relate to his disability.
Yeah.
But he was like everywhere, and he loved Jenny, and I'm sure Jenny like had something going on.
Yeah, Jenny was hoeing.
Yeah, Jenny. I mean, that's
keep it real.
But Forrest loved her.
Yeah, he loved her anyway. Jenny was about the life. She was about them streets.
I'm trying to think who else had a disability. It wasn't a lot.
No.
Like when you
definitely not people of color.
I know there was that one show like a couple years ago. It was like Superstore or something.
Oh yeah, Superstore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had the kid that was in the motorized chair.
Mm-hmm. And that actor was not disabled.
Yeah. See, I forgot a few years ago there was when I first started comedy. There was a woman who won a Tony Award, and she had a disability.
Well, we had Katie Sullivan, who just this past year was the first amputee who was ever nominated. But I know who you're talking about. You're talking about the woman that uses a wheelchair.
Yeah,
her name will come to me later because we have the same agency.
She won a Tony Award the same week I had my first show. So I got up there and I was like, there was a woman who just won a Tony Award and she has a disability. And everybody, like, the automatic response is, woo, clap. I was like, no, I don't like it. Because now that's why I got to do some shit with my life. Because she's out here winning Tony Awards.
Out here raising the bar and whatnot.
Yeah, so now I got to get a job as a comedian to try to balance it out.
Well, you're winning.
I'm trying, man.
You winning. I'm Mike, you winning.
You're an Emmy nominated. You got me on the news.
No big thing. Just a little statue that I might maybe get. Hopefully I'll get. We'll see. It's just this is one of the things where it's literally just an honor to be nominated.
Right. Yeah.
It's really exciting. I'm nominated for an Emmy for a piece I did about a Broadway night that featured people with disabilities in New York City, and it's an amazing piece filled with amazing actors and singers, and I'm just really happy about it. Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Anytime.
This was awesome.
This was a lot of fun for me.
Okay, so how can people get in touch with you? How can they see where to go see you? What's the Instagram? What's the IG? What's the TikTok situation?
You can follow me on Instagram at Mike the Joke Teller. What else? My TikTok, I don't even know the name of my.
You don't be on there.
I got like 4 clips on there.
So we're going to stick with the Instagram.
Yeah, you just follow me on Instagram and you can find out where I'm at.
Yeah, and he's out in New York City all the time. So follow Mike. Come see him at a show. You're going to laugh. You're going to die. Take it from me. This guy's about to blow up. And I'm just happy that I had him here before the bomb went off, basically. Yeah. So this is the It's Not Even Like That podcast. So Mike, it's not even like that being disabled in America, the way movies show it to be, right?
It's not. It's pretty cool sometimes.
It's pretty cool, yeah. It works.
Yeah, I make it work to my advantage.
All right, this is the It's Not Even Like That podcast. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things, and come see us again.